And this is Fort Shannon. It was built in 1832 as a military installation. It was originally built over across the street from the motel. But they wanted to tear it down and put it in a parking lot, so the Historical Society moved it over here for safekeeping. The offices were downstairs and the officers were housed upstairs. And then the rest of the soldiers, they lived in the available yard. This here is a wedding dress, handmade by Carolyn Cochran. She married a fellow by the name of Hamilton Gordon in New York in 1802. And they are the parents of one of our former Historical Society presidents. Yeah, a lot of detail to it. Mm-hmm. This here is a picture of Long Warrior. He was the main chief in this area back in the 1700s. He's the one that gave William Bartram the name Puggy, which means flower hunter. It was his way of protecting him from warriors, because it would really be a shameful thing for a mighty warrior to harm a flower hunter. In there's things that the ship picked up out of the river that are mastodon teeth. And a lot of Indian tools, like scrapers and stuff like that. When Florida first became a state, this was the flag that was given to the governor. It was never an official flag because of controversial words on it. But this was, but it was the first flag, just not official. The Hiawaka Room. Now, Mr. Hart, and this is his picture here, he owned a fleet of steamships that went up and down the river, and they transported everything. It was like the main artery. This is a replica of the Hiawaka. That's the wheel out of it, and the lights off of it, and some of the other things that they used. And of course, you can see it carried passengers and cargo, and he also had livestock boats. The main crops in Palatka and Putnam County were citrus and cypress. Now this, the Crescent City moon, that was one of the citrus areas. The girl sitting on the moon, she was the president's secretary. Her name was Belle. So when you're going to Crescent City, if you hear anybody talking about Belle, they're talking about her. In 1884, Palatka burned. Depending on who you talk to, it was either 4 blocks, 6 blocks, or 8 blocks. But these pictures make it look like a whole lot more. And this is a photo of one of the Putnam House on Front Street. And it was the largest. The Putnam House had 400 rooms, and there's a picture in here of Larkin House, which had over 350 rooms. And of course, everything after 1884 was built out of brick, because as you see, this is the Presbyterian Church on the river. It was made out of brick. It didn't burn. And this is a replica of the hotel. It would be in the sitting area. The dining, there's the copy of one of the menus from there. And then the office with the front desk. And they had a telegraph. This is Benjamin Putnam. Now he was a lawyer, statesman, soldier, mayor of St. Augustine, a legislator, a surveyor general, and a judge. He moved to Palatka after the Civil War, and he only lived for 5 years. I don't know what he died of, but the common thing for most people to die of back then was tuberculosis. And this set of china, you won't find this pattern anywhere else because it was souvenir china that could be purchased by guests. This was a photographer's stool. Someone once mentioned as they were passing by how uncomfortable it was. And I don't think we were supposed to sit there for long.
Yeah.
And this is the education room. Ox cart on Lemon Street, circa 1870. The guy's just sitting there on the ox cart. And this is old Highway 17. And went through the estate of Mr. DeWolf. And this is some of the toys the kids would have played with, the books they would have learned from, the glasses they would have worn. There's even a McGuffey reader up there. This, I don't know if you know about this building here. It's the oldest school in Interlaken and is still in use. It is the JROTC.
I was going to say, it looks like the JROTC.
Yeah.
We live right down the road from it.
It's the JROTC building now, but it has been continuously in use since it was built. And of course, I love this old desk. It's like Little House on the Prairie.
It is.
That was a map that was on the school board, on the school wall. Does not include Hawaii or Alaska. And then these are some of the old athletic uniforms from the high school and the yearbooks. They go all the way back to the mid-20s. And of course, you know that the Yankees were here for spring training, and that's Babe Ruth down there during one of their practice games. Now, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, this building was chopped up into 3 apartments. Each apartment had a front door, a main room, a bedroom, a bathroom, and a back door. Now, that would have been the main room for that apartment. This would have been the bedroom. Most people's closets are this size. Now, this is the back door. And this little section right here would have been the bathroom. It's now called the medical room because it's got Dr. Knight's stuff in here. His tools, his nurse's uniform. That fellow there is just, he's an ancestor of someone that lived down in Moore Parkway. And this would have been the bathroom to the next room, next apartment. Someone brought this in, this wasn't there before. That's an old treadle sewing machine. It's very similar to the one I learned on. And this here is the cypress. This is the reason we have no cypress trees in Putnam County now. Wilson Cypress Mill. It was the second largest cypress mill in the world at the time.
Wow.
This is the war room. It would have been the bedroom for the middle apartment, and that behind those rifles is the back door.
There you go, Josh. This is your style.
Mm-hmm. Little double barrel and
I think the one on the bottom is more my size. And those pictures are up there because there were several people from Palaca that were in those pictures. Have you seen the mural on the side of the building about the sinking of the Columbine? It's down just off of St. John's Ave. In here, this is a drawing of it. Just a handful of Confederate soldiers started shooting at it with their rifles, and they ended up sinking it and burning it. And the sad thing was that as the survivors swam ashore, they were just murdered. They took no prisoners. They just shot them as they walked out of the water.
Who is that, Josh?
I'm not going to dignify that with an answer.
He is big into his military history.
Fun fact, everybody knows Lee as a Confederate general. He was actually with the Union Army for a number of years. He was actually a lieutenant colonel. He was actually the commanding officer at Battle of Harper's Ferry, I believe it was. And then after Virginia had seceded from the Union,
He was asked to be a general.
he was asked to be a general, and it wasn't. He didn't.
And he decided he had to stay with his neighbors.
Exactly, and that was pretty much his exact words. It's like, believe me, I don't believe in what the new Confederate states are fighting for, but Virginia is my home, and I'm not going to fight my neighbors.
Mm-hmm. And this is the Victorian Room. And we have things in here that are before that. Like I really appreciate the desk clerk that was on duty during the fire as he saved the ledgers.
Oh my goodness.
And we have Governor Mosley's glasses and somebody's opera glasses. And that's the clothing war in
Could you imagine wearing that in Florida in August?
This skirt has a matching top. I put it on and broke out in a sweat, and I put my own blouse back on. I said, I can't do that today.
Yeah, I don't see how you all do that.
If I was a woman in those times and I had to wear something like that,
Oh, I love the hat.
Just shoot me. Just shoot me.
But you didn't have to because they didn't live on it.
No, I would have wanted the things.
These two dresses were recently donated, and they were in the room we use it over there for the docent's dressing room. And I picked them up, and I go, oh, no one's wearing these. And I put them on hangers, and I took them over across the hall, and I hung them in the wardrobe. Well, they didn't quite match the period for the wardrobe. So by the next week, they were over here, which is where they actually should be. This is real silk.
That's what I was looking at that
Very
one.
delicate.
Yeah, the embroidered work and stuff. This is amazing. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so you gotta save those documents. Had to have gotten erased.
But what was that?
I said he had to have gotten erased or something.
He should have. Do you know that fire took place in November at the very beginning of the season, and thousands of people would come down here in the wintertime to get away from the northern winters. And they had some weird idea that the sulfur in the water had healing properties, and they liked looking at our freaking animals. So when the fire started, there was like 2,000 people in town that were not regular residents.
Oh, wow.
They were just down for the winter, and not one of them was injured, much less killed. But there's a section of town up there by the Dairy Queen, which I can never remember the name of it, but it was the black town where black folks lived. And they took everybody in and fed them. They did everything they could to help. Nobody would touch it.
Yeah.
You know, look at the difference between these women with Civil War clothing, 1860s, and that. That's just rude.
It's like they try to make themselves look less attractive.
Does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Better.
That looks, I'm trying to read what this is, but it looks very much like the chapel that was built. I don't know if you've ever read Eugenia Price's Florida trilogy, Don Juan McQueen, and Margaret's Story. And in Margaret's Story, it talks about the plantation on Fleming Island. And the one thing she wanted more than anything was to have her own chapel. And as she's finally laying in her room dying, she can hear them sawing and hammering, and they're building her chapel. And until a few years ago, it was open. You could go visit it. It was the only thing left standing on the plantation. But they've closed it down. I'm not sure why, and that was a number of years ago, before I got to go to it.
Yeah.